Believe it or not, this is the world that I've been the most excited for. Last time I played this world, it was the single biggest cakewalk I've ever had in PvZ. And that's because the entire roster of dinosaurs and zombies was so uniquely countered by the Exploder Nut. Will this world be just as easy this time round? Let's find out. The first level of this world was a new record of time spent on day 1. I'm so determined to beat these day 1s with just nut spam, and this caused me to take like 4 full attempts of this level. I think that's partly due to me becoming a senile old man at this point though. Day 2, I bust out the garlics and it goes down quick. From my admittedly porous memory, I think the suck and blow fares a pretty good chance in this world, which is pretty cool. Day 3 is a conveyor belt level. This world has drastically less of these than like the last 5 or so worlds, which I used to love, but now it just fills me with dread. God, I wish I picked a less soul-crushing challenge to do. Day 5 and the cracks are already starting to show for our dear friend Garlic. My memory was indeed incorrect. I love this plant so fucking much and I want to use it so badly. We're now 1 dinosaur in, and this strategy is already wank. In day 5, I tried so hard to make the double infinite spam thing work, but I ended up just wasting half an hour for no reason. It's fine if you just use the time warp to carry, but then it's not infinite spam, you know. Out of pure frustration, I ended up blitzing the level with our strongest strategy. Day 6 and I caved in, I went back to time warp spam, the strongest strat available to us, and kind of the only thing carrying this challenge at this point. And it just kind of doesn't work in this world. The issue is that the dinosaurs patrol the first few rows, so upon being time warped back, they're set into the loving jump kick of a dinosaur and launched right back to the front of the lawn. It still works for now, I did beat the level, but with just these 2 dinosaurs causing havoc, this was already a struggle. I just don't think the strategy is going to work in this world. Day 7 is a conveyor belt level. Day 8 introduced one of my all-time favourite PvZ2 plants, the Perfume. I'm guessing that's his name, I don't actually know. Chat and I debated long and hard whether I can actually use this plant, and despite the answer being a resounded yes, I chose not to use it. Sure, it's the dinosaur that's doing the killing, but I still influenced the dinosaur to do so. It is such a shame because I just love this plant, it's so cool. This is quite annoying because this world is really balanced around taking the Perfume, and as such, this challenge becomes way harder. Day 9 is a given plant level. Day 10 was going pretty easy until this little shit showed up. It's actually not too hard to deal with, truth be told. It just means I need to keep a pocket hurricane on hand. And that's not nothing, we're very strapped for seed slots at this point. Also, I did day 10 twice for some reason. I think my brain is actually a fine green mush at this point. Day 11, and for now, the time warp has officially given in. There is never not a dinosaur on screen at this point. So our ace plant is completely done in. I took this time to try out most of our strategies. For once, there are no instant kill zombies in this world, so walls are actually usable. Except this little shit does so much damage, it might as well be an instant kill plant. Suck and Blow still doesn't stand a chance, but I do have one unshakable carry. Once again, I come crawling back to the Gumnut, perhaps one of the best plants in the entire game, and he sweeps day 11 no problem. Day 12 is one of the most extreme challenges I've had to do in a while. Can't lose more than 6 plants. I've done levels like this before by putting most of my plants in one lane, a modified Suck and Blow of sorts, but it just doesn't work here for 2 main reasons. Firstly, there's a Garg in this level, which just sort of tramples over the Garlics and Aloes. Normally you can just plant around this, but it comes in a random lane. Secondly, and more annoyingly, are the Stegosauruses that flick zombies into our vital lane. I spent hours and hours on this level, but I just couldn't beat it. I didn't even think my super secret technique would be able to beat this level, except I came back to this level for one last attempt after I beat the rest of this world, and I had a miracle run. Instead of funneling zombies into one lane, I decided to shield the vital lane with Garlics and stall every other lane with Gumnut and infinite plant food. This is a risky strategy, as it means I can only afford to lose one plant other than the reinforcements. I thought this plan was flawless, as the infinites were successfully holding back all the lanes, but I forgot the Gargs can actually permanently kill infinites. And the Garg randomly spawned in a lane with 2 infinites, meaning the run was over. Now I'm going to have to apologise for my stupid mini Shagrot blocking the actual biblical miracle that's about to happen. But just as I was moving my mouse over to quit the level, literally milliseconds away, this hero raptor appears out of nowhere and kicks the Garg over the first infinite, winning me this level and saving me hours and hours of grinding. I'm not even joking when I say this fully changed my opinions on the dinosaurs. I hated how hard they were making this, but this sole heroic raptor made me really appreciate the dinos. Day 13 was the start of the most annoying trend in this entire world, maybe the entire challenge. This level was nothing special, the perfect candidate for a PowerPoint, except a fair few zombies just like spawned late. Like I made it to the final wave, let the mowers rip, just the same as always, and more zombies just started walking out. I'm not using the boing setter or even the reinforcement. These zombies are just trolling me for the love of the game. This wasn't a hard level, but because of this glitch, it just cost me an extra 15 minutes, and that really stacks up. Day 14 is a pre-selected plant stage. Day 15 is a protection level where we get to protect our good old friend. This was a real embarrassing level, I'm not gonna lie. Something about the way the dinosaurs would kick zombies into the back half of the plant, it just wouldn't register in my brain. They were like invisible to me. These little shits would be chewing for like a full 30 seconds and I'd completely ignore it. That cost me a lot of time, but I did end up sweeping this level with the suck and blow. Day 16 is a conveyor belt level. Day 17, and I finally accepted that the time warp just doesn't work anymore. The sheer amount of dinos completely render it useless. This means that I mostly need to rely on gumnut spam now. Now don't get me wrong, it's an incredibly powerful plant. Dare I say it's probably my signature plant at this point. But it staples on an extra 5 minutes at the end of every level I have to waste watching these dipshits just chew their way out of gum gel. Day 18. One day after completely committing to giving up on the time warp, we're introduced to the strongest dinosaur of the lot, the T-Rex. This guy gives a crazy speed boost to the zombies, literally slingshotting them to the very front of the lawn. Way too fast for pretty much any other plant to handle, except for one, the sapling. The interaction here is actually really weird. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a great counter to the T-Rex. It attacks so slow that the zombies make it halfway to the lawn before they get slowed. But slows are a bit counterintuitive in PvZ. Instead of reducing the speed of a zombie by whatever percent, they instead set the zombie's speed to whatever percent. And this has two quirks. Firstly, it means that slows don't stack. If a zombie is slowed by the Stallia, adding sap to it won't do anything, as their speed's just being set to the same number. Secondly, and relevant to what we're doing here, it means that speed boosts, no matter how quick, are just outright negated, as the new boosted speed is set to the lower speed. The last and most frustrating weirdness here is that the T-Rex speed boost is a permanent effect. So while the sap does slow it nice and cleanly, as soon as it's warped back, they're right back to track and fielding it. This is so weird because I can't think of any other effects that survive the time warp. Like for example, the Dark Age elixirs and the Sunbeam's effect are both permanent effects, yet they're both stripped away by the time warp. Irrespective of all this though, we beat this level first time. Day 19 is a conveyor belt level. I really wish that instead of making me play a glorified premium plant advert, I just wish they did a Hypnotoad type thing like spend £5, spend £5 and get it over with. Day 20 is a sun production level, but with a weirdly insignificant target. Like you don't actually need to think about this one in the slightest. One row of sunflowers does this no problem. Day 21, and I realized that the gumnut plant food can't actually miss zombies, so it works really well against the T-Rex. This is crazy surprising to me, as every time I use this, it spills half its fucking load off the screen. This day also introduces one of the most forgotten zombies in the entire game. Man, I don't even know what to call this thing. The caveman zombie? They're all kind of cavemen. The Neanderthal zombie? I don't know, it's so forgettable. I just looked this guy's name up and it's so stupid. Like it completely clashes with the naming convention of this game. It's really dumb. I'm not even going to tell you what it is so that you guys can guess in the comments and then be as frustrated as I was when you actually googled it. Anyway, so what does this zombie do? Well, in a world where the zombies literally do nothing, this guy somehow does the most nothing. How is that possible, you say? Well, this zombie actually does have an ability, unlike every other zombie here. It has an innate immunity to being pushed back. If you say so, champ. Day 22 might have been the easiest plan your defense level yet. It felt difficult because there were so many pterodactyls eating my saplings, but that plant has a lightning fast recharge. And by starting with double spearmint, I just spammed the shit out of every plant and I still had change left over. Day 23 was a snoozer, so it's PowerPoint time, and man have I got a good one for you. Now this week's PowerPoint is honestly more of a rant, but I am just so fed up with scalpers in Pokemon. Now I know that in the world of hot takes this is a cold plunge in Joe Rogan's bathtub, but now that it's affecting me, it's an issue. See, I'm finally in a spot in life where I have a bit of disposable income, and despite being a huge card game guy, I basically play all of them. I've never really opened packs, I'm just not much of a gambler. But Pokemon just released a Nostalgia Bait set for Generation 5, my absolute favourite game of all time, so I need to crack open some packs. But much to my dismay, every store I went to in a 20-mile radius of my house was sold out within hours. Better yet, I can't find anything online that's not marked up. Now scalping's turbo lame, we all know this, but I want to dispute some common arguments for scalping. Now it's going to sound a bit like I'm shouting at you guys, but I know my audience isn't this dull. I'm just so fed up of seeing these comments online. Scalping is no different to retail. Sure, that sounds true if you're not willing to give it a second's thought, but what a retailer does is act as a middleman between the creator of the product and the customer. It's a major role in the distribution of product. What a scalper does instead is buy from the retailer and act as a second, more and ugly retailer who wears stupid hats and has a receding hairline. They have no purpose in the supply chain and they just make everything worse for everyone. Everyone needs to make money. This is an unfortunate fact of life. Just a couple years back I was served an eviction notice, and I know that feeling of wanting to do anything to make money. But that's just not what this is. If you look at the people doing this shit, it's always those grotesque investor bros. The same people that manage to make the coolest shoes in the world lame. What you can't deny, no matter how much you despise the idea of Pokemon investing, is that Pokemon cards hold their value like nothing else. It's actually like the modern day gold, but it's still lame regardless. The early bird gets the worm. No, the unemployed loser ruins the hobby for everyone. And that's all I've got to say. If you're a Pokemon fan or just enjoy me talking about Pokemon, I'm actually working on a Pokemon channel right now. No videos just yet, but they're in production. Link in the description if you want to pre-subscribe and make me feel good. Day 24 was super easy, no stress at all. Just Gumnut spam for 15 minutes straight, then a chill 5 minutes of zombies eating their way out of Gumnut Jowl as usual, then boom. 3 new zombies phase into existence, losing me the level. I'm like 8 hours into this world at this point, so I just decided to flick them into the right lane. Except I also fucked that up. I'm not the gaming legend you guys describe me as in my shower fantasies. The dinosaurs have to be the cause for this. I've spammed Gumnuts in every world and this has never happened. If anyone has a theory as to why this is plaguing me, I'm all ears. Day 25 introduces the Ankylosaurus, my favourite dinosaur growing up. I love its design here, it has such a pleasant smile, but its muted, almost realistic colour scheme really clashes hard with the other dinos, especially the T-Rex. It really sticks out. He's not too hard to deal with as I'm just able to spam double Gumnut on the second row and catch every zombie with ease. Day 26 is one of these levels. Mold colonies are always such a jump scare to me because I always confuse them with the flower lines and I overestimate how hard it's going to be. I kind of have to use time warp shenanigans as the Ankylosaurus will shoot zombies straight onto the second tile. But I also started using infinites as saplings alone just don't cut the mustard when zombies are being polted right into the fray. I didn't realise this at first, but the infinites actually body block zombies being polted to the front, and they're just a nice reoccurring wall. This level wasn't too hard. For day 27, I borrowed the infinite idea from the last day. It's a plan your defense level, and the setup looked like this. The front line is to block the Ankylosaurus and it worked a charm, beating this level first try, if you exclude the 4 restarts I had to do because I kept accidentally killing imps. Day 28 was a super easy level that took no thought at all. I did get briefly scared for a moment as a zombie materialized 5 minutes after the last wave, but it's fine, he was only joking. Day 29 was a given plants level. I just want to use this time to apologize for sounding a bit weird in this world. I'd just come back from a dentist appointment and they accidentally cut my tongue up bad. I'm finding it very hard to speak. Day 30 was a 25-minute, 4-wave long slog. It was brutal, dude, just waiting for all the zombies to eat their way out of gum just to have these dudes show up at the end. I was at my limit at this point and I didn't even have enough gold to help them change their mind. So I had to sit down for another half a fucking hour on a level with 0 difficulty, just putting Gumnuts down blindly. What a waste of time. This whole world has been ruined by this annoyance. With day 31 being a given plants level, that brings Jurassic Marsh to an end. This world was difficult, but more than that, it was just a slog. Seriously miserable stuff. But speaking of misery, you guys know what comes next, the hardest world in the game, which I'll be streaming live as soon as this video comes out. So if you catch it within like the first 5 or so hours, I'm live on Twitch losing my mind, link in the description. As always, thank you all very much for watching. Cheers.
This was Marvel or not, because Perfume makes the dinosaurs kill. So is that me making the dinosaurs kill? I'm going to leave that to chat to decide. Something like that? No!